Arenas before the awards.
This is b4Nashville Live. Have a question for our guest? Send it to us via Messenger.
Here's your host, George Davis.
And welcome to Before Nashville. We will introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. Tonight, I've got a guy on that we're going to have a good time. I'm going to tell you that because I have found out a lot about him, and I'm super excited to share it with you. And we'll be back to talk to him in just 30 seconds, so stick around, okay?
Before Nashville is proudly sponsored by Go-Go Tuners, the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Get your Go-Go Tuner at gogotuners.com. By Heart to Heart Coffee, the coffee that gives back. Find out more at heart2heartcoffee.com. By Civvy's Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. Order yours at civviesapparel.com. And by Three Rangers Whiskey, not for the weak or faint-hearted. ThreeRangers.com.
My guest tonight comes to us originally from kind of north central Illinois. I guess you could call it kind of northeast central Illinois, if that makes any sense at all. But now he is down in the Music City. He's in Nashville, and his name is Garrett Biggs. Garrett, how are you, man?
I'm doing fine, brother. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, man. How's things going?
Man, life is good, man. A lot to be thankful for. Feeling very blessed and very full. Just got married, so life's
what I heard.
Yeah, man. So life's been good, crazy. I hope things have been good for you as well.
And great, man. They've been fantastic. A little cold down here, which I'm sure it is up your way too. But
oh yes, it's that time of year, you know. But I won't lie, I'm completely here for it. It's also my favorite time of year. So.
Right. Absolutely. Mine too. I mean, I've always had this philosophy. I can put on enough clothes to stay warm, but I can't take off enough legally to stay cool.
You know what? That is literally what my family always said too. Literally, words to live by, my friend.
I'm telling you. Now, you're originally from Casey, Illinois, and I did a little research on Casey, and Casey's got quite the accolades. They are home to the world's largest rocking chair, the world's largest mailbox, the world's largest pitchfork, the world's largest golf tee.
Yes, sir.
And Garrett Biggs.
I don't know if I've made the list yet, but you know, that would be cool. That would be cool. The land of giant things. I tell you what, it's you know what's crazy, honestly, about that is I remember it as a town before all that too, and it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool to see that town kind of get something like that going on. So,
and this has all been documented in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, it has. To my point, like I grew up, you know, in the library of the school, looking at the Guinness Book of World Records. So, anywho, if you're around Casey, Illinois, or passing through, stop in, check it out. It's a nice town, good people. No bias.
Yeah. And if you want to check all that out, you just go up to Effingham, take I-70, and it'll take you right to Casey. So there you go. That's the easiest directions I can give you. If you want to know how to get to Effingham, Google Maps.
There you go. It never fails, ever.
I can't tell you anything above Google Maps.
I love it.
So tell me about growing up in Casey. I mean, you said, you know, you were there before all that stuff came along. Has the town grown since you were there?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I won't say it feels like it's grown in population at all, but definitely in the summertime and really throughout the whole year. You know, before there just wasn't really many shops downtown. There was a few, and you know, again, it's always been home to me, so it's always been a nice little town. But it's just nice to see people coming into town, enjoying it like I always have. You know what I'm saying? And now there's, you know, my cousins own a pretzel shop down there called Tetzel Prime. There's ice cream. Can rent a golf cart. There's all the things to look at. A new butcher just came into town, and you know, I'm just pretty proud of that little town back in Illinois. So it's cool to see it alive and doing well for sure.
Right. Well, what was it like growing up there before it got so pun intended, big.
I love that. Honestly, it was just a quaint little town in the middle of Illinois. I mean, we had, it sounds cliche, but we had our Friday night football, which we are and always will be very proud of.
Mhm.
And that's what we did. We would hang out in parking lots or take cruises, and I mean, it was just very quiet. That's the best way I could put it. It was very quiet. And now again, it's just, I go home and there's all sorts of different out of state license plates in town, and you just didn't see that. You did not see that growing up. It was Illinois. It was the residents and those from surrounding towns that were in town. Now, I mean, there's just so many new faces always around. It's great. And I love getting to know people's stories, so it's kind of extra special. I like talking to the people that are, in town visiting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's always fun finding out their story, and that's so cool finding out, where they're from or how they got there and things like that. So
Where
it's
they're
always
heading
awesome.
to, they're
Yeah.
usually traveling on the interstate somewhere. So
Yeah. And they see it and they got to stop, it's like,
right.
so, um, as far as the music goes, at what point in your early years did music come into your life a lot?
Well, I was always around music. My dad played in bands growing up. He would lead worship at church. Cousins played the piano, and so music was always around in a high capacity. Um, you know, I would love going to shows with dad and rehearsals with his band. I loved learning about the gear, and it just really kind of anything, the ins and outs of band was just, I was hooked on it at a really early age. But as far as, playing shows and kind of getting my own taste for going out on the weekends and late nights and doing that, like that started, I would say, like early high school for me is when I really was started digging my boots in the ground. It was like, okay,
Mhm.
at that point I've been doing it a few years, just playing. There's a spot north of KZ in Oilfield called the Oilfield Store, which was where I played my first show ever. It's in the old one room schoolhouse. They turned into a burger joint. Go check it out. Best burger around. One of for sure. And so yeah, it just kind of all started there. And then, some about freshman year, we took a trip to Nashville, and I was auditioning for The Voice, and dad drove me
Uh-huh.
down there, and that was kind of my first taste of Music City. And I was obviously already very intrigued with Nashville and what is Music Row, what is all that, what's all this
Right.
hype about. And so I went down and learned the history, and I guess you could just say that really just fired me up. And it was like, okay, like, yeah, I'm going to go to Nashville after high school, and I'm going to pursue this, whatever this is, I'm going to pursue it and just give it my all. So,
Right. So did you write many songs when you were younger?
I wrote a few. Yeah, I can't really tell you how many, but I was definitely writing. I was working with a company out of Terre Haute, Indiana at the time, and we were writing songs together, doing some recording and everything, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I was making trips to Nashville too. I was starting to meet a few people here in town that were starting to, um, just be like, hey man, come hang out with us. You need to meet so and so, and they're a writer. They just moved to town, and so it all kind of just started there.
Right. You remember the first song that you ever wrote?
I don't remember how to play it. I remember it was in the key of E, and it was called Old Blue. And it was written, like I said, I was probably a freshman at the time, and I would ride around for football practice. We would have to ride to and from spots every now and then,
Uh-huh.
and a friend named Zach would pick me up, and he called it Old Blue. And I sat down one day on grandma's porch. I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to write a song. It's going to be called Old Blue, and we're just going to see how it turns out.
Mhm.
And I hope if there's any recording of it, I hope it goes away.
I was just going to ask, is it one that you've revisited or ever thought about going back and maybe tweaking and recording later on?
Honestly, I think a song, and I'm sure you've heard this, it's all about how you hook it. So I think
Right.
you'd be surprised what you could turn into a pretty crazy idea and crazy title, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I've thought about it through the years. Will I probably ever? Probably not. Probably just gonna let that one rest in peace.
Just let that one lie. Just let sleeping dogs lie, so to speak.
Yeah, man, life moves in seasons for a reason. So, but no, man, that was I'll never forget that memory. And I went in and I remember my dad and grandma and I believe my sister were all in there too. And I was like, hey, man, I wrote this song. It probably sucks, but like, man, I've been out there for 2-3 hours. Can you at least put an ear on it?
Yeah.
And they were kind enough to, man, they were really supportive. And that moment was everything for me as a songwriter in particular. That really kicked off my, if you will, addiction for writing songs.
Right. Well, that's great, man. That is awesome. Who are some of your influences that you have grown up with as far as musically?
Musically, again, my dad's a huge inspiration with my music career, and so he had a whole CD collection, and a lot of it was classic rock. So I grew up on Def Leppard, ZZ Top, Boston Journey, and Don. Remember he had this Don Henley record that was sweet, and guys like that. But as far country came a little later, probably about sixth grade, fifth grade. I heard of this guy named Jason Aldean, and he was putting that rock edge on small town lyrics and melodies, which I've always loved the small town way of life. I'm a very simple guy. I'm very simple. And so that resonated with me, right? So it's kind of like the perfect blend. And so that kind of, and when we were younger, my sister would we'd watch CMT music videos on the computer and jam out downstairs. So I'd listen to country, but Jason Aldean was kind of how I got into the country music game. That led to Brantley, and next thing you know, man, I'm neck deep in it all, and Merle and Waylon, and I just was hooked right off the bat with country, man. It's where it's at.
Yeah, it is to me the best genre in the world because of just all of the storytelling that it does.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally, absolutely. Well, and again, that's what I really resonated with was just the storytelling of aspect of it. Like at this time, the truth was really big with Aldean. It was like kind of that era, the Hicktown era,
Mhm.
and there been just a great era for country, if you ask me. I personally
Yeah.
like I grew up on all that, and it was awesome, man. Like that really. I just remember I listened to so much music at that time in my life,
Mhm.
so much, so much. So it was awesome.
Um, when you're writing, okay, let's talk about writing just for a minute. Do you like to write alone or do you like to co-write?
I co-write mainly. Yeah, honestly, I don't really do too much writing by myself. I've probably should do more. I would like to do more, to be honest with you, but no, mainly whenever we're back home in Nashville off the road, we're co-writing. So
Right.
I love the input of it. You know what I'm saying? It's the creative.
Mhm.
You just get that different kind of input from people that don't think the same way you do. They bring strengths to the table that aren't your strengths, and yeah, it's just a whole process.
If you could write with one person, who would that person be? If you could do a co-write with somebody.
For me, it would be Ashley Gorley, I would say,
Mhm.
just because I would love to, he's done so much as a writer in town, and just broken the mold in a new way, if you ask me. So I just love to sit down and pick his brain and just be like, man, what's the secret sauce?
Right, exactly.
So no, but I mean, I think definitely Ashley Gorley. He's written so many great songs that we've all heard, and
Mhm.
and it's yeah, him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of I would say one of the top 5 writers in Nashville, if not top 3.
Oh my
Definitely
goodness,
top
yes.
5. Definitely top 5.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, like, you know, a lot of people like, "Who's Ashley Gorley?" And it's like, "Oh, you've heard his work." Yes, you
Yeah.
have.
You
So
you don't know his name, but you know his music, trust me.
right, right, right.
So, where do you glean a lot of your inspiration for your songs from if you're going into a co-write with somebody?
Man, that really is a great question. You know, for me, it's a lot of my upbringing. My wife,
Mhm.
Kelly, she's always on my heart, my mind, and my faith. And really, honestly, I just kind of try and clear my head, and I try and really figure out what I'm trying to say for that day. Me and my friend Joy Beth, we've done a lot of writing together. Fantastic songwriter. We used to be roommates, and she would always say, "You can only create through the creator." And so I'm always just trying to clear my head, soak in who I am. You know, I love, like I said, I'm very simple. I love simple life, small town way of life. And I just always just try and put all those pieces together. And generally, you know, it works out most of the days. Not all the time, but most of the days.
Right. And on that along that same line of questioning, when do you find yourself most creative? What time of day do you generally go, wow, this is when I can create the best?
It hits at different times. It truly does. You never know. Inspiration comes left field 99% of the time, you know.
Mm,
But for me, it's whenever I'm honestly doing what I was just saying, like putting myself in that moment, making myself relax, slowing my brain down for 10 seconds, and maybe listening to the radio, and I'll just be thinking about something. And next thing you know, maybe I'm humming something. Maybe I heard, like, sometimes maybe I heard something wrong and it sounded
mhm.
cool and that led to this. And I've gotten song ideas that way. I mean, and going back to co-writing, right? Like, that's what's so great is, like, the other day we were writing this song, uh, me and my friends Zarni and Luke, and we got a great song that I'm excited about, and it just fell. We were just talking, and like the chorus, we kind of just said. Next thing you know, we're off to the races. You know, so
Wow.
but
That's so cool to me how songs can come together like that.
this town never ceases to amaze me. The talent in it, you know, it's I'm honored every day and privileged to be able to create with some of the best people on planet Earth, you know, at doing what they do. It's in this town, and like I said, I'm glad to be a part of. I'm glad they can keep me around, you know. But
Well, what is one song that you have heard that you just go, man, why could I have not written that song?
I do, you know, my brain immediately goes to Jamie Johnson in Color.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just I love that song. I play it whenever, mainly acoustic shows, but I play that every acoustic show, and it just never gets old. And I am one of the world's biggest Andy Griffith Show fans. I'll just put that out there. I love it. I love it. I've watched it. I don't know how many. I could tell you every episode almost. And you know, you pair that kind of mindset and that lifestyle with that song, and then also, I never got to know my granddad Dale, which is my dad's dad, but I'm really close with my grandma Helen. So through that, I've got to know him, and you know that third verse of that song, it just always makes me think of them. And there's this picture that is always in my head of my granddad Dale and my grandma Helen holding my Aunt Janet. And anywho, that song is one that will always hold a special place in my heart for sure.
Yeah, it's a special song for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, it's just
Um,
very real
oh,
emotion,
yeah.
very honest.
And that's exactly how Nashville is. I mean, there's so much of the music down there that is just so true, so honest, so storytelling. And quite honestly, it doesn't matter what fragment of the genre that it comes from. A lot of it is that storytelling, because over the course of the seasons, it seems like that country music has gotten to take kind of different different back roads, if you would, because you've got like country rock, like Jason, you've got country pop, like Kane Brown, and then you've got country rap, Colt Ford, the Lax and those kind of guys, and then you've got the bro country, Luke Bryan and the guys that kind of followed him, and then you've got just what I call good old country. I mean, Cody Johnson. You got Texas country, but Cody Johnson's in there, and Ian Munsick, and a lot of those guys that are coming up that are just doing so well. Dylan Carmichael, guys that started off in the Texas scene that are kind of shifting over.
Absolutely. No, country is very broad. It's very, very broad. And like, I remember back when I first was getting into it, it wasn't as broad as it is nowadays. And I do like that. I do like that, because I think there's elements of music like country and rock is where I'm at, some blues, but I mean, I like that pop element too. So I think I like how it's kind of gotten that way a little bit,
Right. What would you say about your music that is so unique that it just draws people into listening and becoming a fan?
One thing I'm always trying to be, always will be, is just honest, and I want people to have a good time with my music. I mean, I want it to, I think every song, there's a reason there's different tools in a toolkit, right? And I feel like that there's a reason that there's different songs, and some songs are meant to raise up a beer to, and that's it. Some songs are meant to rip your heart out. So with every song that I put out, I just want them to know that I guess what I think draws them in would, I make sure that I've lived it. I'm not going to put something out like we just put out this single called Never Have I Ever. And, I've been through heartbreak. I know what that feels like. And I've fallen in love, and I know what that feels like. And I've, had a good time out with my buddies, and I know what that feels like. So I think that just knowing that, like, hey, I come from a small town in Illinois. I'm a small town boy, and I'm always going to be that. And I think just people knowing, like, hey, just come here and have a good time. Whatever that is, do that. That makes any sense.
Absolutely. I mean, and speaking of like your current single that we're going to play here in just a bit, and then you're talking about, the different things that music means, going out with your buddies, your song, Cheers to the Beers. And oh my gosh, that song is just, it is like the epitome of a party night out with your friends.
I love it. Yeah.
And it's just that you get that whole feel when I personally have, and I've listened to that. I've listened to a lot of your stuff so much in the last probably month. But I hear that song, and every time I hear it, it's like I can picture, being out with the guys, at the frat parties or at the bonfires or at the back roads, and I think the line says, something about cheers to the beers that we've already had and the ones we haven't, that's kind of a it's not verbatim. It's kind of a,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's kind of what it says. And if you listen to that song, it's so cool. And then you've got Mama Didn't Raise No. Love it. And then also you've got America's Heart, which is a song that you actually connected with Rural King, which I think they were really big. I worked in Illinois for a while, and I think they were really big in Illinois, and they've just come into Missouri. And so when I heard that it was connected to Rural King, I thought, man, do they still use that? Because it's a great song. It really is.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. No, that was cool, because growing up, I mean, Rural King's such a staple in my home area. Bought stuff from there, all sorts of things, ammo, you buy chicken, camouflage. We bought all sorts of things there. And, to have them reach out and want to work and do that was definitely a blessing. So,
right. Had you
cool.
already written America's Heart when they reached out, or did they just reach out to you and ask you to collaborate and come up with something?
I hadn't reached or, no, I hadn't written that song yet. They reached out and kinda told me what their goals were, and I was like, I think this is right down my alley. I'd love to hop on this and see if I could
Mhm.
get you what you need, and thankfully they loved what we did with it, and, were kind enough to use it and everything, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything that I've heard has just been awesome. And I mean, you have really, with the music itself, you have done extremely well because, and these numbers are probably not up to date, but Cheers to the Beers was released little over 13 months ago,
Mhm.
September 16th of last year. And at the time that this information was put together, 200,000 streams on Spotify and Apple Music. The video, 200,000 streams, and it features Cody Bradley and Cooper Allen. And Cooper, we saw him down in Nashville not long ago. Great dude, man. Really cool.
Oh, man.
Really
He's awesome.
nice to hang out with. Um, Mama Didn't Raise No. I mean, that one, 1 million streams on Spotify and Apple, and over 2.5 million video views on YouTube. I mean, that's ridiculous for, I mean, uh, uh, if you look at then and now, because now, TikTok is like the go to for all of what Nashville seems to be looking for.
That's what they
Uh,
say.
yeah, and I don't even want to get into that. I just, you know, but that is amazing for even 2 years ago, to have, 1 million streams on a song in 200, the 2.5 million. I think I said that wrong a while ago. 2.5 million views on YouTube on the video.
Man, I'm really thankful. I just want to say thanks to everyone for loving on all the stuff. Talking about Mama Didn't Raise No in particular, again, that song's really near and dear to my heart. Um,
Mhm.
to keep a very long story short, me and my mom didn't see eye to eye on everything growing up, and it took me getting out, out of town, moving to Nashville, and just being 5 hours apart, 4.5 hours apart, and it really made us grow together and realize what we had that we didn't take advantage of. And so that
Right.
song for me was a stamp on the past. And now we have a great relationship. Now, like, there's always been love. There's always been that. But now it's nice that it's a totally new relationship. So, that song for me was a stamp on the past as well as a stamp on the future. And so
Right.
I'm just glad that everyone really connected with it like I was hoping.
Yeah, and for those that are viewing and listening on all of our platforms, go listen to it and see. Sorry, my grandsons are on here.
Oh, you're good. What's up, grandsons?
Yeah, Tucker and Waylon. So you
What's up,
can't argue with the
Tucker?
names, right?
That's great.
Yeah. Let me send them a message real quick here. Uh,
That's great.
apparently on their mama's Facebook page. I guess their mama's watching too. Um,
Thanks for
so
tuning in, boys.
absolutely. Yeah, they're great kids. I love them to death. I missed getting to see them a whole lot this year, and hopefully we'll make a change. But pretty cool to see them on here.
Yeah.
Um, now with I mean, we talked a lot about the music itself. Now you yourself, you're big into fishing and hunting and loving every day, I guess.
Pretty much. Pretty much. I
I hope your wife's not around. She's never gonna like me.
no, no. No, that's me. I love fishing and hunting and just kind of chilling. I spend a lot of time on the road through the year, and so I enjoy camping. And if I'm not doing any of those things, we're probably going up to Kentucky to my in-laws and seeing
Okay.
family up there. And yeah, truly, as time goes on, I'm definitely just trying to stop, smell the roses, enjoy each day, and not put so much weight on on myself. You know, I'm real bad about that. I think we all are to an extent. So that's kind of how I approach it.
Well, I tell you what, let's take a break here. We're gonna play the latest single, "Never Have I Ever."
Let's do it.
And we'll let folks hear that. Then we're going to come back. I've got some more questions. I got a few off the wall questions I like to ask in a little segment that I do, and
Awesome.
I'll present that to you. And since you just got married, a couple of these are kind of focused on marriage. So,
oh boy, I don't know much about it. I'm still learning.
Well, I've been married to my second wife for, we've been married, it'll be 6 years, the 22nd. So Friday.
Oh wow, happy anniversary, man.
Saturday.
That's great.
Yeah, Saturday. Thank you. And then I was married for a while before that. And so if you have any questions, man, I'll be more than happy to help you.
Deal.
But we're going to get into Garrett Biggs, his new song. It's called "Never Have I Ever." We're going to do that in 30 seconds. All right. So hang on.
b4Nashville is proudly sponsored by Go-Go Tuners, the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Get your Go-Go Tuner at gogotuners.com. By Heart to Heart Coffee, the coffee that gives back. Find out more at heart2heartcoffee.com. By Civvy's Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. Order yours at civviesapparel.com. And by Three Rangers Whiskey, not for the weak or faint-hearted. ThreeRangers.com.
Don't know what I was thinking, calling you up, I've been drinking, but I just had to tell you something, just in case you've been wondering. It don't hurt as bad as it did back when we first called it quits. I'm doing fine getting over you, if you really want to know the truth. Well, never have I ever drove by your house to see whose truck's in my spot now. Never have I ever woke up in a cold sweat, reaching for you in an empty bed. Never have I ever blacked out on a bar stool, drowned in whiskey, trying to forget you. I could keep on lying and say I found somebody better, but never have I ever. It might have caught you off guard. Picking up the pieces was the easy part. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. I'm doing better than I thought I'd be doing. Never have I ever drove by your house to see whose truck's in my spot now. Never have I ever woke up in a cold sweat, reaching for you in an empty bed. Never have I ever blacked out on a bar stool, drowned in whiskey, trying to forget you. I could keep on lying and say I found somebody better, but never have I ever. Never have I ever. Oh yeah. Never have I ever drove by your house to see whose truck's in my spot now. Never have I ever woke up in a cold sweat, reaching for you in an empty bed. Never have I ever blacked out on a bar stool, drowned in whiskey, trying to forget you. I could keep on lying and say I found somebody better, but never have I ever. Well, never have I ever. Oh yeah.
All right. That was Garrett Biggs and "Never Have I Ever." I kind of lost a little control there as to what was going on. Let me get back on here real quick. Oh my gosh. I'm There we go. Now we got it under control. Sometimes it takes a minute to figure out all these buttons.
I'm glad you're the one controlling it and not me.
I know, man. Oh gosh, and I made it worse on myself. Is the bad thing about it. Trying to make it easier, and it just didn't work out that way. Tell me about "Never Have I Ever." Where did the song come from, and what led you to the writing of it, the backstory?
Yeah, so I wrote that song with Joy Beth Taylor and Timothy Baker. That's the latest single we put out, but ironically enough, I wrote it when I first moved to town. So again, me and Joy Beth were roommates at this time, and yeah, Timothy came over and I can't remember who had that title. I can't remember. I mean, this was pushing 4 years ago now, but one of us had that title, and we got talking about it. I don't know if you ever played that game called Never Have I Ever that
Right.
Played in high school. So we kind of just got talking about that and all the crazy stuff that we did. And, like songwriters do, we wanted to find that twist. What's the twist that we could put on that? And so we kind of got talking about, at this time I was relatively fresh off a breakup. Not really, but we got talking kind of about all the things that you do. You drive by that person's house all the time. You fall asleep, passed out, and it's just kind of like it's pain, it's heartbreak, and I think we all kind of lie to ourselves that we don't do that every time, and we fall into the same old cycle. So that's kind of where that song originated from, and Joy Beth and Timothy both just absolute talents, and I was just grateful to be in the room that day. So.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those songs that and we all have, which makes it so relatable. If you go through a heartbreak, then you know exactly what it's talking about, and I think that's one of the big things about that song in particular.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about just a couple of things outside of. We're not going to get into the weird stuff yet, but if you could go on tour with two bands, who would you like to hop on a bus and ride across the country with?
Oh my goodness. Right now, I'd like to hop on a bus and tour with a band called Dirty Honey. They're a rock band that I really enjoy. We do turn one of their songs called Rollin' Sevens into a little jam in our set, and I just think it'd be really cool to experience their show every night. And then again, for me, it would be Aldine. I think just looked up to him for so long, and he's a professional. I've seen his show before back in high school, and it was just amazing. So I'd love to do that. And I will say this, I would have loved to have toured with ZZ Top too.
Oh, man,
again, yeah. ZZ, Billy Gibbons, I've always enjoyed his style of playing, and man, just iconic. So I'll throw them in there too.
That would be a wild show between you, Aldine, and Dirty Honey, and I don't know who would be the opener. If you throw ZZ Top in there, good grief, who's going to open and who's going to headline?
I tell you, ZZ Top. Oh man, I would be front row for some Sharp Dressed Man. Bring it on!
I'm telling you. Oh man, just some. Oh gosh, I just ordered their. I think it was the Greatest Hits album, in about a month ago on vinyl, and I still know it was the. Oh gosh. I just forgot the name of the album. The one where they first had the car on it.
I know which one you're talking about. Like, yeah. I see it in my head. My dad had it, and I spun it a lot, but I can't. I'm like you. I can't think of the name of it right now.
I want to say Eliminator. Is that right?
Illuminator, maybe.
Right. But
I don't know. We'll figure it out and have to text.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out and text each other.
Because I just ordered that and I haven't got to listen to it. I'm a big vinyl freak. I love my vinyl.
Oh,
Um,
vinyl's awesome, man. I used to have a vinyl player, and I would play vinyl a lot. I haven't, we live in an apartment right now, so I haven't had any my setup here, just haven't had room, but man, I can't wait to have it again.
I bet I've got just a cheap. Well, I've got like 4 different turntables in the house. 2 of them are super old. I collect
Oh,
old
that's great.
radios, and I've got 2 old ones, and I've got another one that's kind of fashioned after an old one. And I've got one of those little small portable ones, that's got the speakers built in that you can take out with you.
Yeah,
And I really
absolutely.
want a a good quality one because I've got a system that I can hook up with it that would just be killer.
The
I've
thumb
got everything but the turntable.
That's what my dad had. Whenever I was back in high school, I bought a record player, and he had a nice system, and I would turn that thing up pretty loud whenever he was going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, what do you um let me see here. In your sets, I mean, normally, I mean, you said earlier you guys do some cover tunes and stuff. You do Rolling Sevens by Dirty Honey as kind of a cover. What is your favorite cover tune to do?
Right now, probably that one, even though it's just a jam. Oh, good Lord, that's honestly a toughie. Um, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I'll have the band step down, and
Mhm.
I will pick up my electric and put on a lot of reverb and all that fun stuff, and I'll do "Here Without You" by Three Doors Down, and
Oh,
that
wow.
was one song that my dad showed me how to play relatively early on, um, and it's just always been one that I've been the guitar part on it's fun to sing, so that one's always kind of a treat to do. I always wish that I would have done it whenever I don't.
Right.
So,
And they were my oldest son, they were one of his favorite bands whenever they first came out. He was fairly young, and
oh, are great.
my gosh, we wore Superman out
Oh, I bet, yeah.
because that was like the song that came out. Um, now back to kind of the touring thing for a minute. What's your favorite venue that you've ever played?
Oh, we've been to a few, at this point, but oh boy, that is a really, really tough one. I would say at this point, it would be last summer we stopped at the Lazy Gator in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri.
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
and that was really fun. We were out doing support for Casey Donahue, and that whole trip was just fun. And that venue was just so cool, and it was a treat, because sometimes when you're out on the road and you get there early, you're kind of just left chilling wherever, and that's
Right.
cool. But it's kind of nice when you're on the lake and you have a pool and all that kind of that fun stuff. So I would say that one's up there. That one's definitely up there. And then we did a run with my buddy Chase Matthew and
Mhm.
at the ranch in Florida, and the ranch was really, really sweet too. Everyone there. See, again, what I love about these places is honestly meeting the people and talking, and like I have a hat. I thought I had it right here, but there's a hat in my closet from the ranch that somebody signed. Cheers to the shots. And he bought me a shot and signed at the ranch with his name. We did like a hat trade. So I really hold on to that kind of stuff from playing places.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome, though. I love that. That is so cool. You gotta leave at 5 a.m. in the morning for bus call. You're heading out with Aldine and ZZ Top and Dirty Honey, and you guys are about to head out, and it's a 5:30 bus call. What are 3 things you have to take with you besides your guitars, of course?
Uh, Definitely my suitcase. Gotta have that. I actually about forgot that last weekend, and I've made that mistake and gotten to the venue and had to run to Target, and that's not a very fun. I have a belt in my closet that is about 3 times my size that I made work one night from that trip, and so my suitcase, and then oh my gosh, probably my phone charger. I'm going to get as much as I don't actually know. Can I take that off the list? How does that work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. I would say my Bible. That's something for me I like to keep on me just because it's got me out of a lot of ruts, and it always will. And my third thing, oh my gosh, dude, definitely my toothbrush. My toiletry bag. My toiletry bag is a whole. That's what it is. It's all one unit, so that counts, right?
Yep, that adds to that. Hey, that's what I take with me everywhere I go. So you betcha it does.
Oh yeah, bring on. Gotta have it, man. Gotta have it. So
absolutely. All right, so let's get to the part of the show now. I tell folks, I don't want you to be offended by the intro for this, but it's kind of a fun little thing that we do, and I'll ask you like about 5 off the wall questions.
Hey, bring it on, buddy.
So this is just a little intro that we do for it. So
what the hell?
I love that.
It's oh, what the hell if you hadn't figured it out.
That's great.
And it's always just off the wall type questions, and we're going to do a few of these that have to do. And if your wife is listening, then she might appreciate these. And I will say this: they all have to do with the bathroom. Okay.
All right, bring it on.
With the bathroom. We're going to start easy. Okay, toilet paper, crumple or fold?
Fold, baby.
Okay. You the man. I
had
that argument at work the other day.
You can't do that. You got to fold every time.
I know, right? You use more soap when you crumple, people. Come on, think about it. All right, sticking with the toilet paper theme, the age-old question, over or under?
Over.
All right. Now, this is the one that your wife is really going to find out, which she probably already has. Do you leave the toilet seat up, or do you put it down when you're done using the restroom?
She will brag on me on this. I put it down because I grew up. I have a twin sister, and so I grew up obviously with two girls in the house, and I was taught very early on to put that toilet seat down. So yeah, put that down, fellas. I'll appreciate it. I'll help you out.
That's right. Exactly. So don't forget that, guys. Put it down. Okay. So we're going to give Garrett this.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank goodness he didn't get that wrong. Because I have one for that too. All right. Here's a really fun one that I like. Now, personality wise, I want you to describe your personality as being akin to Jim Carrey, Mariah Carey, or Kanye West.
Jim Carrey.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Jim Carrey, for sure.
Yeah, I don't see you as being a diva, and I can already tell you're by far not a nut job.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I'm a little, I could be a little nutty.
Well, there is a difference.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Let me see. Let's see. That was 4. Where's my 5th one at? Coffee in the morning. Do you drink coffee?
Oh my goodness, yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Cream, sugar, or black, or both
Black.
cream and sugar?
Nope,
Okay.
straight from the pot, black. And I tell you, I carry around, if I had it here, I'd show you, but I got one of those green Stanley thermoses that hold like the whole pot. And I tell you, I take that thing with me every morning, every single morning. Gotta have it. Just driving, writing, doesn't matter. I'm leaving with that thing. And I tell the guys, they know if Garrett's driving and they're riding shotgun, I always tell them, I say, I got the most important job in the van. They got to refill my coffee. And they do it. They do it. I love it.
That's great, man. That is great. let's talk about what song would you say you've had stuck in your head over the past week?
The past week, just any song.
Yeah, just what's been stuck in your head. Just one of those songs, maybe a new one you heard, and you're going, man, I just can't get that out of my head for some reason.
To be honest with you, it's a song that we wrote a couple weeks ago that hasn't left my head since we wrote it, and it's called "Send Me a Letter."
Okay.
That song has been living pretty rent-free in my mind, so it's been good. I've also really been digging that Haley Witters song ever since she dropped that. Everything she ain't or something
Yeah.
like that. That's
Yeah,
a great
something.
song. That one definitely takes up a bit of real estate nowadays. And look, there ain't much real estate to take up. All right, so
Oh my goodness. All right. So let's get just kind of serious for a second here, because we know how music is now. It's not the same as it was 15 years ago. It's a lot harder to get noticed because there's so many people out there. What's been the biggest challenge that you faced to promote your music or grow your fan base?
you know, we live in such a technologically advanced world, and I guess point blank, I'm not the best with technology. I don't like being on my phone. I like the perks that come with being on my phone. You know what I'm saying? Like I like
Mhm.
being able to do what we're doing now and talk with the fans instantly and everything like that and get response. But um it's hard for me to kind of wrap my head around it. And it's always a challenge for me to, I guess, keep up with the times. I feel like as soon as I get, somewhere with the technology thing, there's something new or some new platform. And again, I'm a very simple guy, and yeah, to keep a long story short, I've really come to terms with that the last year and a half, and I'd say just keeping up with the technology, man. It's changing every day. We live in a very fast world.
Yeah. Yeah. Attention spans are shorter and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
What do you feel like is the quickest way to grow your fan base?
hard work. No,
Oh my,
honestly, hard work for sure. It definitely takes that. We both know that, but
yeah.
uh, that's the tough thing about the music industry, right? And I think it's the age old question, if you will, is there's no system in place. It just, you never know where the big break is gonna come from. So
Mhm.
I think the quickest way is to just write great songs, and if you do that, that'll lead to things in town. And as an artist, I mean, write great songs and uh, do the best that you can with TikTok too. TikTok, social media as a whole. But um, now I'm getting deep here, so hear me out. But I
Right.
also think that the quickest way to success is just knowing yourself too, and knowing that there's a plan out there. And and I'm speaking from experience, as in, like, I've learned that you got to work hard, you got to have your hands involved, you got to be involved. But it's also knowing that sometimes you just got to take your hands off and be a human being and go enjoy a barbecue. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so, yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of my take on it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like you said, sometimes you got to step away and clear your mind. You can't focus on, um, as much as you feel like you have to sometimes, but you can't focus on music 24/7. There's got to be a time where you're Garrett, where you're not, you're not Garrett the musician. You're Garrett the husband. You're Garrett the brother. You're Garrett the son, the best friend, the boss or the
Totally.
employee, or too many roles for people nowadays that we all have to, divide ourselves up into.
Absolutely. Well, and it all points back to balance, right? Life's all about
Right.
balance and finding that, and it's not easy. It's hard. It's very hard, and I think that's what complicates things is we're all out here trying to find that balance. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, though, writing great songs, working on your craft, getting up every day hungry and being willing to learn, being willing to meet people and get to know people's story.
Right.
If you do that, then I think that you're doing life right, in my opinion. So
Right. Have you ever struggled with just self-doubt
all the
about,
time.
did I make the right choice?
I won't say did I make the right choice. I mean, I've always knew that this is what I wanted to do. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely self-doubt involved, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's just getting up every day chasing a dream and having faith that it's going to work out and that you're just climbing a mountain that seems endless. But the thing is it's the sweetest climb that you'll ever experience in your life, and I look around, in 4 years working on 5, I've met a whole new family down here, people that I never would have met. And right. And I mentioned earlier, life moves in seasons, and
Right.
this is going to be a very long season of my life, but that's okay, man. Cause I've met so many great people and I continue to every day meet new, amazing people. And again, that's really my favorite part about life is that in itself. So it's awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a page out of a Luke Combs interview,
All right.
and um, he got a song out of this. So I don't know if you'll get a song out of it or not. But is it worth it?
Absolutely. 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 And again, because it's meeting the people, it's life is really long. And I think, we all are, and I'll speak for me in particular, but it's getting up every day and just enjoying every moment. I heard a saying, it's like, when you have a cup of coffee every morning, it needs to be the best cup of coffee you've ever had because it's that one. It's that cup of coffee right
Right.
there. And I'll never forget that. And so that's just kind of how I try and approach life. And yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's 120% worth it.
Great. I mean, and I love that. I mean, I excuse me. I just think I think that is the best way to put it when you put it into. It's got to be that best cup of coffee that you've had,
Yeah, it
and
doesn't
it's
matter what it is.
yeah, all day long. The next cup of coffee, that's got to be the best one. You just keep that mindset going, I think.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%.
Um, which of your songs, and let me say it this way, which of your songs that you have out right now for folks to hear would you want to be most remembered for?
I would say America's Heart, um, just because that song is talking about we all have an America's Heart. It's being there for your friend. It's that song talks about the history. You know, it set sail in 1776. I mean, this nation was founded on a lot of hard work and bloodshed and tears and sweat and dreams. And it's, I mean, we're sitting here talking about dreams. And so, but again, it's also lifting your brother up and being that person that another person can lean on. So, if there's something I'm wanting to put out in the world, it's that, you know.
Mhm.
So
Right. Um, if if you could go back and make any change to your musical career up to this point, is there one you would make? And if there is, what would it be?
you know, I I wouldn't say I would change anything necessarily because it's all part of a story that's out of my control to an extent, right? But
Right.
I started this whenever I was really young, and I was really had my heart fully set on it at 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade. And I was trying to make it at that age. And if there's one thing that I would do, I wouldn't take away the drive from young Garrett. I wouldn't do any of that, but I would go back and tell him to just slow down and be a kid, just be a kid, play ball, do all those things because, I mean, you know, and it's just, I think that's very important. I would go back, I would do all the gigs, I'd do all the rights, I'd do it all, but I wish that I would have stopped trying to rush things so fast, you know.
Right.
So that would be my advice to younger Garrett playing music, I guess.
That's very good advice, I'd have to say. Um, if folks want to find you, is there a central location they can go to find out more about you, like your, um, you know, like your music or any of that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. A few different things. First off, we're doing this texting channel now, so you guys can text me directly just through your messaging app. My number is 615-819-4398. Shoot me a text. That's how I can get a hold of you with updates and all that fun stuff. And then you can find me on social media at Garrett Biggs Music. 2 R's, 2 T's, 2 G's. And then my website is biggsofficial.com. And yeah, we have stuff out on Spotify, Apple Music, Google, Amazon, YouTube. So go wherever you listen, go stream it, add it to your playlist.
Right. And what was that number one more time, Garrett?
615-819-4398. So yeah, shoot me a text, everybody, please. We'd love to have you in the group.
All right, let's just do this real quick. Come on now, don't be. My mouse is not wanting to do what it's supposed to do. There we go. All right, there you go.
Oh, look at that. That's sick.
Yeah, we got it up on there, and so it'll be up on our, of course, our 2 Facebook channels. It'll also be on the YouTube channel. Should be on Twitter. And Spotify now is actually taking videos. So when we publish this,
great.
it will be the video.
That's
and
awesome.
So we'll push that out to folks as well, as to where they can get a hold of you at.
Sounds great. Holler at me, everyone.
Absolutely. So the shows, let's talk about shows for a minute. What do you got coming up in the near future? Anything in the works?
We're pretty slow right now, kind of by design. I always take a little bit of time off this time of year. But I got a couple acoustic shows coming up. One in Casey, Illinois, actually, for a fundraiser for the toy fundraiser there in town. So we got that. And then the next day, I believe it's November 19th, we're going to be at Main Street Pub in Robinson, Illinois. Got some stuff coming up in Florida. We're talking about going up to Cleveland, Ohio again soon. So definitely booking new tour dates and going to be hitting the road pretty heavy this coming year for sure.
Yeah, and you got some great stuff coming up because you're going to be in Casey on in November with Toys for Tots fundraiser. Those are always great. I'm big on fundraising.
Yep. And this weekend, actually, I'm going out with Clayton Shea. I think we're going to be playing at Lori's Roadhouse in Ohio. And then we're going to be doing Six Strings Club in Bloomington, Illinois. So if anyone's around those areas, come on out.
Yeah, and you can also go over to the website, which is biggsofficial.com.
Yes.
And check out the tour dates. You got pretty much through June of next year. Boy, you are busy. Good grief.
Yeah, we're booking. We're trying. It's booking up quick, so we're trying to definitely keep it going.
Absolutely. So if you guys are looking for something, then definitely check that out. Indiana, Florida, we got North Carolina, Ohio, Illinois. So if you're in any of those areas, then make sure you go check it out and shoot Garrett a text and say hi. And I know that he'll get back to you.
Yes.
Man, it's been a joy talking to you because I knew when we started that this was going to be good. And I've had a blast just chatting with you tonight.
Likewise, my friend. Likewise. I appreciate you having me on. This has been great getting to know you. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. And just thank you. I appreciate it. It's been great.
All right. Well, everybody, that's Garrett. Be sure to tune in again for more of Before Nashville coming up very, very soon. Of course, I hit the wrong thing. See, look at me. I was on the wrong page. That's supposed to be the outro.
I love it. That's all right.
It's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow Before Nashville on all social media and listen wherever you get your podcast. Tune in again for another country star of tomorrow on Before Nashville with George Davis. I'm Kevin Casey on behalf of Worldwide Pants. Have a great night.